Good evening. This is Orson Welles, your producer of a special series of broadcasts presented by the makers of Pabst Blue Ribbon, the Mercury Summer Theater of the Air.
Hi, I'm Don McCoy, and today we're going to be visiting with Dennis Wright in Sutherlin, Oregon. Dennis is the curator and founder of the Radio Days Theater of the Mind Radio Museum. Hi, Dennis.
Oh, hi, Don.
This is kind of an unusual thing to create. How did you come about making a radio museum?
Well, it's interesting. I've been probably a lifelong fan of old-time radio. And then as that grew, that I got into the collecting the memorabilia that came with that. And so it kind of sprouted from a lifelong interest in radio, and then later on the stuff that came with it.
Did you ever work in radio?
I did. I had my first job was an unpaid job. I was a volunteer in a radio station in Alaska, Wrangell, Alaska. And I had a show with my brother, and we had the Wright Brothers Variety Show, and it was a lot of fun. Then after that, I liked radio. I kind of fell in love with it. It was in 1980. I was 23 years old. I was married at the time, didn't have any kids then. We packed up Alaska and went back to Spokane, Washington. I enrolled in Ron Bailey School of Broadcasting. And then from there, I got my first job was back in Alaska again in Cordova, Alaska. And then I went back south to Washington and worked in radio in the Columbia Basin area.
They say people get into TV and quit and never come back. They get into billboards or newspapers and never come back. But people who get into radio, even though they go away, they always come back. There's a magical attraction.
Right, there is.
I've certainly found that to be true. What are some of the things that you've collected from old radio days over the years?
Well, I have a lot of radio premiums, what they call them, and those were what the kids would send away for in the day. They'd send in a dime in the box top or 25 cents in the box top, and they get a cool little trinket toy in the mail, identified them with their radio hero, like Captain Midnight or Green Hornet, Lone Ranger.
Yeah, those weren't trite toys. Those were very important implements.
Yes, they were. Yeah, taught you how to look for Nazi spies and how to bomb Japanese ships in the Pacific.
I remember sending off and getting 3 little hand puppets, Snap, Crackle, and Pop, and would do puppet shows for a dime, and make all the neighbors come over with a dime and watch my puppet show.
That was cute. Yeah.
What are some of the things that you've collected? Are there Captain Midnight rings and
Captain Midnight rings, the badges, the decoder badges. We have all the badges from Captain Midnight. We have all the badges, decoders from Little Orphan Annie. In the movie The Christmas Carol is an example of this. In the movie Christmas Carol, Ralphie's sitting in the bathroom decoding his 1940 Little Orphan Annie decoder. A little bit of Superman stuff here as well. Superman started in the comics, and then in 1940, 2 years after, it went to radio. And we have a few Superman things, not a whole lot. Kellogg's Pep was a sponsor back then. And so there was a lot of tie-in with Kellogg's Pep. They'd send you these, the big thing with these comic art pins that you would wear with different comic book characters. So, and they also did these military insignia rings from the different bomber squadrons and air squadrons of the Navy and the Army Air Corps. That's kind of fun. I have some of those here. And they had these really cool balsa glider airplanes that they would send in as well. So you open up a Kellogg's Pep box, and there'd be a glider in there waiting for you. That's kind of neat. So,
I remember those things. There was a famous radio show that started on WXYZ Detroit, and I bet you know what that show was. the program director of the radio station wrote it, and he walked into his disc jockey and said, "I wrote this show. We're going to do it on the radio, and you're going to be the star." And the disc jockey's name was
That's Brace Beamer. Yeah.
Beamer, and that was the beginning of the Lone Ranger.
Yeah, he was
WZ.
Yeah, we were. My wife and I just were back there in Mount Carmel, Illinois. That's where Brace. That's the birthplace of Brace Beamer. Matter of fact, one of my premiums here is I have an original Brace Beamer giveaway of a silver bullet. The Brace Beamer giveaway as his stand of Lone Ranger. So I got that while I was back there at the museum in Mount Carmel. In 2014, we did our first exhibit with my collection, and that was at the Wildest Theater in Springfield, Oregon. And there's a fellow that used to do radio reproductions live in front of an audience, and we were doing some exhibits at his show, and then that went on for several years. And then we also did our first museum exhibit in Springfield, Oregon, at the Springfield Museum, which is a local history museum as well. They opened up a big space for us. We went in there and filled it up. And at the time, they said it was the largest, this was 2014, they said it was the largest ever private collection ever on display at their museum.
And do people come through the museum? Is it a profit center, or is it just a love act?
Right now, it's a love act. I don't know what I would do with it if I didn't do this. I would. It wasn't before we moved here. It was in my garage, in totes and what have you. And now that I have it out, it's a pretty impressive. But people, it needs to be seen. That's what I'm doing. So
you've collected my childhood. I'm going to have to come and visit your museum.
Yeah. There's we part of the museum. What we like to do is we take stuff out of the museum and we go visit retirement homes and assisted living facilities, and that's called a traveling time machine. And we bring stuff out of the museum and go visit those places. It's a lot of fun.
How many items do you think you have total in the museum?
I started several years ago. I started an Excel spreadsheet, and I gave up. So I would say probably 1,000 or more of the premiums. Then I have a lot of pictures floating around here of the old radio stars behind the microphone scenes, and I have a lot of radios as well. But I want to emphasize that we're not a radio museum. It's a theater of the mind museum devoted to the radio history from the 1920s to the 1950s, when dramatic radio kind of went away. Movie night, we have movies on Fridays here at the museum. We play the old Hollywood classics. It's a lot of fun. We have a 24-seat movie theater. This is me standing behind. These are, I think, reproductions on here, but we have probably 50 or so antique radios, tube radios. We're getting probably another 30 to 40 more to add to the museum.
I'm sure there's a lot of people, particularly those of us who are alive when these shows were being broadcast. This is just wonderful.
Yeah, we've had visitors come in, and especially the ones that remember it they're there. It's fun to watch their reaction. I had a couple guys come in. It was yesterday, and old Navy vets from I think they're in their 90s, and they drove here and they visited the museum, and they were in love with it, and they thanked me for doing it. So, oh yeah.
Well, Dennis, I understand you have an incredible number of old radio shows from back in the 30s and 40s. How many do you have?
Well, we have some of these available as digital files. You can download them for free online. That's at the radiodaysmuseum.org website. There's a link there, and you can download them there. And our personal collection, we probably have close to 100,000, give or take. These are various format. These are electronic format. I have some on old time on reel-to-reel tape. Some of these go back to 8-track.
Can we get on to radiomuseum.org and download these shows?
Yes, there's a link on top of the website where it says collections. Not that there are people trying to get money from us, but these are our collections here in the museum. The one that says our collection, the first one on the left is the radio premiums. That's some of the items that we have here. People actually see what they look like, and on the other side of the screen is old time radio shows. But it's kind of sad. That's where we got the the important part of this museum is to keep the history alive. I mean, you lose, every generation you lose who's come and gone.
So Dennis, you've opened the Radio Museum of the Mind in Sutherlin, Oregon. Are you unique? Are there any other museums like yours, or are you the one and only?
I'm reasonably sure that we're a one and only. We have there's the Museum of Broadcasting in Chicago, which is a broadcast museum. They specialize in radio and television, but they also do a lot of local Chicago, Illinois type stuff as well in their museum. We're more focused on the radio days, the history of radio from the 1920s to the late 50s. So that's where our focus is based on. So with that in mind, we're one of a kind, and we have a lot of radios represented here. I have one radio here that's from 1924. It's a single tube radio sold by Montgomery Ward. It's pretty cool. That's 100 years old technology here.
So Dennis, this is intriguing. You've certainly got my interest to come to Sutherlin, Oregon and visit the Radio Museum of the Mind. How do we do that?
We're an hour south of Eugene, Oregon, Springfield. We're about, so you want to take exit 137, which is on I-5 northbound, and that's 137 miles from the California border. That's how that marks out. So and then we're about 2.5, maybe 3 hours from Portland, south of Portland. We're open right now. We're only open on weekends, on Friday and Saturday night. Saturday from 11 to 4. Unfortunately, because I'm still working I still work a regular job. But we decided earlier this year to charge an admission fee, which is $5. So that's that. But it's at first I felt a little weird about asking people that, but people come in, they're more willing to pay. They think it's cool.
So the museum's name is the Radio Days Theater of the Mind. You're located in Sutherlin, Oregon. What's the address?
The street address, physical location is 103 West Central Avenue. Central Avenue runs east and west through the town. And it's our main drag. And so it used to be back before they built old I-5. They used to have old 99, which ran north and south. That ran all the way from California all the way up to Washington. And old 99 is still out there. Now, all of it, there's pieces of old 99, and we're on a piece of that going from you take old 99 from Roseburg to here, and then then head north, go to Oakland, or Oakland, Oregon, which is just a couple miles north of us as well. So yeah, it's right on the main drag. We're in the building that was built in 1916. So when we opened the museum, the building was 100 years old. So that's Sutherlin is kind of turning into a tourist destination, because of the wine. We have a kind of a well-known wine area. Besides, like, people always know about Napa, California.
Pinot Noir up there in Oregon.
Yes, there's a lot of wine here in our location as well. The Willamette Valley has a lot of wine. Roseburg has a lot of wine, and Sutherlin is part of the market area.
Let's give the web address again so folks can to get to know the Radio Museum. once again, the web is...
Yeah, the website is www.radiodaysmuseum.org. And if you type in the other one, it'll still go there. But we have there's a lot of stuff we try to share about the museum. Our museum hours are posted there. We have the downloads are available there. If people want to look at the pictures of what's in the museum, that's only a portion of them. There's like 500. I think I'm not sure how many are online to see, but there's more than that inside the museum. I don't think I want to give away the store before people can come in and see it for themselves. I don't really have a lot. I'm a one-man band here too. I do a lot of myself. I do the website myself and maintain the museum and all this stuff as well. My wife helps on occasion, but this is what I do, and it's just a passion that's kind of that I have to share with the world, I guess.
Well, I'm happy as I can be. You're one of the most interesting people we've had on our podcasts. And you certainly whetted my appetite to come up there, because you've got my childhood in your building. So
yes,
I plan to come up and visit you.
Yeah, that's part of the fun of it. We have with our other sister thing that we do, the old time radio time machine. We go to take it out to senior citizens and that live out in the community in the retirement homes and assisted living, and they're reliving their childhood. They often describe how they used to have this or that, or for them to see a decoder that they actually had themselves. It's kind of fun.
Yes. Well, thank you very much. This has just been a treat for all of us. The Radio Days Theater of the Mind Museum, located in Sutherlin, Oregon. And Dennis Wright is the founder and curator. Thank you very, very much, Dennis, for sharing your life and your passion with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Don. It's my pleasure.
Yeah.
The Lone Ranger. Fiery horse with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty Hi-Yo Silver. The Lone Ranger. Hi-Yo Silver!